go.
Hey, everybody. We're back. It's another Forever Mighty post-game show. We're just getting out of this Ducks-Jets game. Eddie and I were talking a little bit here, and we were hoping for an exciting game. We thought the Ducks would have to squeak a win out of this one if they were going to win, but hope to God they got a point, and that's all they would get. They would force overtime. The Jets would score, make it 3-2 is the final. John Gibson, the story of this game. I don't care what anybody says about even though it was a loss. He was the only reason this wasn't an 8-2 game or a 9-2 game with the performance tonight. Eddie, what is going on with this Ducks team? They cannot seem to get things going lately, and they're still pulling out points.
Yeah, I mean, this was always going to be a tough game. We knew it was going to be a difficult game against the Jets, but the fact that they grind out a point, and it's kind of got two sides to it, right? It's great they were able to grind out a point in a game that they definitely didn't deserve one, and the only reason they're in it is because of John Gibson. But at the same time, this was supposed to be a measuring stick game against one of the best teams in the NHL, and they failed completely. There was no question who the better team was throughout this entire game, and some of that is on the fact that Ryan Getzlaf was out with the flu. But you've got to have other guys step up when you're captain and arguably your best players out of the lineup, and nobody did that but John Gibson.
He was the only guy who showed up to play tonight. You would, as you just said, you would see no Getzlaf in the lineup, no Manson in the lineup. Vermette draws in Getzlaf's absence. Grant gets the top line boost. JT Brown is scratched, and Andy Walensky, recently called up from the San Diego Gulls, is also scratched. Of course, Kevin Bieksa still out with hand surgery. You get our Vezina nominee from Anaheim anyway, net with Gibby Hellebuck, also right up there and challenging for a Vezina this year. I feel like he's been great. He would get the nod in net. It was a performance that the Ducks would probably rather forget. So Let's unpack this in our 3-period breakdown. Eddie, let's go ahead and start the show.
Get by Benning. Darnell Nurse left it in the corner. Gets up center. Perry scoops. Corey Perry.
Lilia able to shake away from Solani and skip away to Solani around in front. Score! Teemu Solani with the steal. And the fans want one. Score! On the floor! Paul Kariya!
I mean, I guess we'll just get into it because at this point it's such a boring game, and you had mentioned that to me throughout the game tonight, and I think a lot of people felt the same way. Kind of carried over from the last game where the Ducks just didn't look that great, and were able to come up with a win in that one, and they didn't look great in this one, and they were able to grind out a point. And like I had already mentioned today, I mean, it's good and bad at the same time. They're getting points, but they're not playing that well.
I would definitely agree with you on that one. And I meant boring from a Ducks fan perspective, right? I mean, if you're a Jets fan, this was a beautiful game played by your team, and you're just disappointed that the Ducks just wouldn't go away and were able to crack in 2 goals in regulation. But the story of this first period, and as everyone will see, is just it's all Jets. All Jets. I just don't understand. The Ducks get on the board first of all things after Mark Scheifele hits a crossbar, after Big Buff tried to do a wraparound. Derek Grant, his 11th goal of the year on the power play. I believe it was his 3rd power play goal in the season as well, as I heard from the broadcast. He just got a tip play there. He started the scoring. This was like a good sign for Anaheim. It was a point-to-point pass, Pettersson to Lindholm, and Grant got his stick on it. Just a, what do you call it there? Just your typical strategy when you're talking about a power play, point-to-point shot on goal.
Yeah, I mean, elite number 1 center Derek Grant strikes again. We talked about this when he got his 10th goal. I mean, who thought he was going to get 10? Making a difference in this game, and he's the guy that's kind of been slotted in and out of that lineup. When guys get hurt, he's the guy that moves up and down. This game, he was playing with Henrique and Kasha. Obviously, this was on the power play, so he was kind of filling in for Getzlaf on the power play as well. And he cashes in, and you got to give him some credit because he has moved around more than anybody in this Ducks lineup throughout the season. He's pretty much been there since the start, and for him to get on the board, especially when the Ducks were struggling, and this power play has been struggling, it's a very good sign.
Yeah, that was just something the Ducks needed. They had to get ahead on the score sheet early because they knew this was going to be a run and gun game for the Jets. Jets would come right back. Ehlers with a perfect shot over John Gibson. I felt like you could probably put this one on Beauchemin out there on defense. I know that Lindholm was a little short getting to the play, but I felt like it was just something that it was just misplayed. I would say gap control there for Bosch. And this is something that we've kind of seen all season. We kind of know what to expect from Beauchemin. But Ehlers with just a perfect shot. I don't want to take too much away from him there. Nothing Gibby could do, and all of a sudden it's 1-1.
Yeah, this is where the Jets can hurt you when you've got guys like Ehlers and Scheifele, Laine, Wheeler, Kyle Connor. I mean, their top six has transformed into one of the best in the National Hockey League in a matter of 2 or 3 years, pretty much, where all these guys have just kind of come up. And it's scary. And in this one, I guess you could say, like you said, it's a little bit on Beauchemin, but it was a perfect shot by Ehlers. He waits out Gibson, kind of fakes him out, and then throws it right top corner. And there really wasn't much he could do. And really, I mean, this was the only... of course, they get another one Scheifele does later on in the game, but Gibby, this was the only one I think it is a perfect shot, but I kind of felt like he might have done a little bit better there because he does get faked out by Ehlers. But again, I mean, I'm not gonna get on John Gibson's back too much, especially with the performance he had in this game.
No, you can't touch Gibby at all, man. You're going to get people coming after you after the way he's been performing since February 1st, as we talked about last show. Another lights-out performance tonight just wasn't enough. But in this first period, I mean, I just wrote in my notes over and over again, Jets are so dangerous, outskating Anaheim. Jets are swarming Gibby. Yeah. Gibby having to make a save after save. I mean, the highlight of this first period for the Ducks, besides the Derek Grant goal, was Gibby with just a massive toe save on Paul Stastny. Unreal. He was moving from right to left following the puck. It squirted free to Stastny. He had to go back to his right, and he gets a toe on it there to keep it 1-1.
Yeah, and he was doing this all game. I mean, it's just unbelievable some of the saves he was making in this game, and he just continues to dominate. And really, I mean, the last game he got a shutout. When it was perfect timing because we were talking with Paul Campbell about John Gibson and the Vezina. And in this game, obviously they don't end up getting the win. But John Gibson, again, I mean, he was first, second, and third star in this game. He was just unbelievable, 39 save performance. What more can he do at this point? Really? Like, I mean, he's doing pretty much everything he can. And in some games, this team is just not behind him.
No, this was one of those games. I mean, and the Ducks played the Jets well when they were in Anaheim and beat them. So yeah. I'm not sure what changed. I know we don't have the best center available when Ryan Getzlaf. He's out with the flu or flu-like symptoms, as they say. They can never confirm if he's sick. It's just maybe he has something. The typical run-of-the-mill that the coaching staff and manager won't leak anything out. But yeah, they weren't behind Gibby tonight. Gibby had to steal a point. Atrocious first period for the Ducks. They were outchanced 8-2. Shot attempts were 27-6 in favor of the Jets, and shots on goal were 17-4. The fact that they had a goal in this first period is unreal, and the fact that they're not down by 3 at least is unreal to me. I don't understand where this team's head is at right now. These past couple of games, but they need to fix this. This was a great measuring stick, and although they got a point, they just didn't show up at all. And this first period was terrible, and it would just be more things to come in the second.
Yeah, I mean, that's the word of the game. I think it was unreal the Ducks were able to even get a point out of this. This is... And when you look at the underlying stats, this is one of the worst games the Ducks have played, and somehow they come on the other side with a 1 point. And, I mean, we had talked about this on pretty much every show leading up to this one. We knew this was going to be the toughest game of their upcoming road trip, and even in their last 6 or 7 games, this is the one we kind of booked in as it's going to be the toughest game, and it lived up to the expectations. And the Ducks played an awful game and were able to escape with the point. I'm not necessarily disappointed in the game because that's what we wanted, was them to get 1 point against a very strong team. I just felt like they could have put up a better fight. And like we've already said multiple times, it was a measuring stick game. And now you just look and you see this huge gap between the Nashvilles, the Winnipegs, the Tampa Bay, Boston, and then Anaheim based off this game. And I know it's just one game, it's a small sample size. Ryan Getzlaf wasn't playing tonight, but really this was just a poor showing.
It was. And let's get into the second period because I want to get through this so we can kind of break down what we have to look forward to because this was just so, like we said, just such a hard game to watch. Right away in the second period, just an unreal play by Wheeler. He dangles Fowler, dishes over to Scheifele, who somehow disappears from Brandon Montour's radar. I don't know what this pairing was doing on this play. I know everyone makes mistakes. They've been great lately, so I'm not trying to bash them too much. But that has got to be just one of the worst shifts by that Fowler-Montour line. As Scheifele was able to one-time the nice pass by Wheeler, we all see why he leads the NHL in assists. And now it's 2-1. You can't fault Gibby at all on this. It's all on that pairing on this shift.
And we've seen that from Fowler multiple times where we've kind of said, that pairing's been so great, but there's sometimes where Fowler just loses his guy and he kind of just forgets who he's supposed to be covering. And a lot of times it leads to a goal. And in this case, it was he got dangled by Wheeler and Scheifele's wide open. And you can't do that against these top two guys. I mean, these are the top two guys on this team. Wheeler has 62 assists. He's leading the NHL. I would have never expected that from a guy like Blake Wheeler, but here we are, and he dishes it to Scheifele, which, I mean, the only good thing on that goal is it helped my fantasy team. So, hey, I'll take it. I'm in the playoffs right now. I need some points where I can get them.
Man, I hear that. I mean, I would never root for anyone against the Ducks, so I don't know why you would ever admit that live on your show. But moving on, Wheeler and Laine would connect on the power play, but if not for Gibby with just an unreal glove arm save, I guess you could say. He goes down and drops and puts that glove and puts it right on top of the pad, denying Patrick Laine, who's a beast on the power play, has 19 power play goals going into this game. And he was held off. I don't know if he's held off the score sheet, but I know he didn't score tonight. The Ducks did a number on him. He had 5 shots on goal. I felt like he was dangerous all night despite this save. And it just goes to show you that this was all on John Gibson. He had to pick this team up on his back, and he had to carry him through this because there's no way that they were going to be able to outskate this Jets team. It was just not going to happen tonight.
How was Laine even in the game tonight? I mean, I watched him block that shot. I think it was in the Kings game. And he was in considerable pain, left. Today we heard that he was going to be out a couple weeks. And all of a sudden he's in the game. And he's playing considerable minutes for the Jets. I mean, luckily the Ducks were able to keep him off the score sheet, but I don't even know how he's in the game. I mean, when you're already in a playoff spot, essentially, I don't know why you risk it. I mean, unless the guy's obviously 100% healthy, but it's just interesting how it goes from he's out a couple weeks to, he's in tonight's game.
Yeah, and he would hit a post later in this period. And, I mean, if not for John Gibson, then you're talking about Blake Wheeler getting his 65th assist total this season. He has 64 after this game.
Yeah.
No. He had 62 going in. Now he has 64 after tonight's game. I just wanted to clarify that we were updating the stats.
Yeah. My goodness.
He's just been unreal. And what my note in here just kind of sums up how the first 2 periods went. I said, this is men playing against boys.
Yeah.
It was just the way the game looked. I mean, you look at the stat line, not even fancy stats. You're just looking at this just from a general fan perspective. The Ducks had to block 24 shots, and they had 19 giveaways. That is not going to win you many games in hockey at all, no matter what level you're playing at. You give the puck away that many times, it's just not going to happen. You give the puck away to guys who are just skating circles around you, that's an even bigger problem. It was all John Gibby, and Cogliano would almost score on a play in the second period, redirects a pass as he's all alone in front of the net. Somehow Cogliano was unseen in the slot, and Hellebuck was almost asleep, but not all the way asleep, as he got over a little bit. I don't know if he nudged the puck a little, but it hits the post. Cogs was unable to convert there. It remains 2-1 in this second period. And lo and behold, we would have to have another conversation about John Gibson as he makes a spectacular glove save on Patrick Laine. Gibby's on fire at this point, Eddie. I don't know if I can say his name anymore without complimenting him, but I feel like we're going to have to going into the third.
Yeah, it's going to be like that pretty much for the rest of the season. We had said that with no back-to-back games until the final 2 games of the season, we're likely to see John Gibson for every game up until that point. And depending on how important those last 2 games come to be, we could see him in back-to-back situation because he's just been that good. I mean, that's why all the talk right now is about John Gibson and the Vezina.